Hello everybody, and welcome to the channel and a brand new series called A Raid Leader Explains. My name is Mr. Tikachu, and I'm currently a raid leader of the raid team called Team Rocket, who's part of a guild called Zeros to Heroes. My hope with this series is that we'll give people a better idea of what is happening in these dungeons and explaining it in a way that hopefully makes sense. We are going to be going over the trash that is important and could potentially cause a wipe in your instance, and also going over the boss mechanics to hopefully equip you with enough knowledge to time the dungeons or at least wipe a little less. The instances we're going over today is going to be Operation Mechagon, the workshop. This instance is jam-packed with stuff to do, so let's just get started.
Itself, and that means passing through.
We have come to our first trash pack of the instance that should be talked about. The first mob that I'm going to talk about is going to be the rocket tonk right here. He's going to shoot out rockets and put an orange circle on the ground that you can see. Just don't stand in it, it does damage, it will hurt. The second mob I'm going to talk about is going to be the bomb tonk. This mob has a cast that will detonate itself, doing group-wide damage. Do your best to interrupt it. Note that knockups, knockbacks, stuns, disorients, and fears do work on this mob to interrupt the cast, so just make sure you're doing whatever you can to stop the cast from going off.
Drone. Wait, what's this? Some surface dwellers have unwittingly stumbled into the arena! A word of caution to anyone sitting in the splash zone. Watch out for blood!
The first boss we're going to come to is going to be the Tussle Tonks. This is a dual mob boss fight, and they do not share HP, so make sure to do your best to damage them evenly. This fight revolves around these pistons that are positioned around the room, but more on those a little later. Just don't stand underneath them.
Just past this arena. We must hold your ground until we can clear a path to it.
The first ability we're going to be talking about is Foe Flipper. No Mercy is going to target a player with an orange circle seen here, and is going to charge them, knocking them up and back while doing a fair bit of damage. This is the first place you could look at using a defensive if you need to. The next ability is going to be called Battle Mine. This is going to be an orange circle on the ground that will do damage if you're standing in it when it lands. Afterwards, there will be a mine placed. If you step on that mine, it will do a minor knock up and knock back while doing an immense amount of damage. Do not step in these. It is almost certain death on higher keys. Tanks. This is your tank buster of the fight. This ability is called Platinum Pummel. It puts a 6-yard wide circle on you and does heavy physical damage. Everyone else, you just want to stay out for your safety. Just after that, we have the ability called Ground Pound. This is a group-wide AoE that does physical damage every 0.5 seconds for 4 seconds. Depending on your key level, you may want to consider using defensives here for your safety. Upon reaching 100 energy, the Platinum Pummeler is going to cast Platinum Plating and coat themselves in armor. This is going to give the boss a stacking damage reduction which can be removed with the pistons mentioned at the start of the fight. The boss is going to want to be moved under the pistons and is going to smash down in a targeted location you can see by this yellow circle here. This will stun the boss momentarily and remove stacks of platinum plating. The last ability of this fight is going to be Maximum Thrust. When No Mercy reaches 100 energy, they will use Maximum Thrust. The boss will target a player and put a line on the ground showing you which direction that the boss is going. Preferably, players would have stacked up near the wall at this point to make sure that No Mercy hits a wall. Once No Mercy hits a wall, they will be stunned for 5 seconds, allowing for more damage. But the most important thing is just to not get hit.
Trash!
The next important mobs in this instance are going to be the Waste Processing Drill and the Metal Gunk. The waste processing drill will do an ability which does AoE damage over a period of time. And the metal gunk does an uninterruptible cast that will apply a healing absorb to the group. This ability is able to be line of sighted, or optionally you can knock up, stun, knock back, fear the mob before it goes off. This is Cujo, the second boss you need to worry about in this instance, though he is very simple with only 4 mechanics. The first ability is Airdrop. This will target a random player, so at the start of the fight, just start close, and a cube will drop that will come in handy later. The cubes will also be dropped periodically throughout the fight, and you will always have one up when needed, unless you screw up. The second ability is Venting Flames. This is a massive AoE ability that will kill you if you do not hide behind a non-heated cube. If you currently do not have an active cube during this ability, then good luck. Tanks and healers, listen up, because this ability is for you. It is called Blazing Chomp and it hurts. Tanks, this does massive fire damage for 3 minutes until it is dispelled. Healers, when this is dispelled, it will do massive fire damage to the entire group, so make sure people aren't low. Finally, we have Explosive Leap. This ability will target 3 players and Cujo will jump between them, doing a big fire damage hit to all enemies within 8 yards. If this ability hits a cube, the cube will overheat, leading to it exploding during the next Venting Flames cast, wiping your group. Do not hit the cubes. This one isn't so much really just a major trash ability, but don't stand in the giant exploding squirrel circle. It'll kill you, just like this. This right here is the Defense Bot Mark III, and he has 2 major casts. The first one is Arcing Zap, which is a magic debuff that will hit a player and play a heavy dot. This is dispellable by all healers. The second ability is Short Out, which does a group-wide AoE. This mini-boss is the Blastatron. You will find similar enemies later in the dungeon, but this one has one major difference. To start off with, these spider bots will be shooting out rockets that just do group-wide AoE damage. The second ability is a Sonic Pulse, which is a targeted frontal line that does damage and silences any player it hits. The third ability is Capacitor Discharge, which is just a safety damage in which you must move to the area that is designated between the 2 electrical lines here and here. Otherwise, just kill the bot. Welcome to the biggest time waste in the instance, the bot maze. Any contact with these barely visible dotted blue lines will cause you to be stunned and sent back to the start. Your main goal is just to get through as safely as possible.
Sponged from our metropolis.
Do not allow these.
It is worth noting that standing inside of these gas clouds here will actually make so you cannot be hit by any of the roaming alerto bots around this area. So if you need to stand in there and take a second, do it.
Spots to detect you. Remaining within the steam will shield you from their sensors.
Right here, there is a moment of time when the bot reaches the end of its pathing to sneak by, but if you are not comfortable with the timing, just wait inside this vent until it passes back by you.
Warning.
This is a shield generator, put down by the Tinkers. Anyone inside of it takes massively reduced damage, and yes, this does include the enemies.
Welcome to
This is the Machinist's Garden. There are several things going on here, so it's easy to get overwhelmed, but let's break it down.
my god.
This is the inconspicuous plants. This plant spawns throughout the fight and will begin shooting at players at random. It doesn't really do anything if you kill it quickly, so just kill the plant. This is the Discombobulator. It's just a circle that he throws around. Don't stand in it. It'll hurt. This is the Hidden Flame Cannon, in which 3 fire beams will spawn from the center pillar in the room and start spinning either clockwise or counterclockwise around the room. If you are hit by it, you will get a massive fire dot. This is the Self-Trimming Hedge. It is a launched blade that bounces around the room, inflicting a huge physical damage hit if you happen to run into it. Once a plant is killed, it will spawn an oil fountain. When that oil fountain is hit by the Hidden Flame Cannon, it will erupt into a roaring flame, throwing flame patches onto the ground.
Witness perfection.
These are plasma orbs. They will be active throughout the fight, so don't touch them. They do a lot of damage and will knock you back. Throughout the fight, these orbs will relocate and go to a new position. They are still active during this time and can damage you. When they reach their targeted location, they'll explode, dealing another hit of damage within 6 yards. This is Megazap. It unleashes a bolt in a line towards a player that deals damage and applies a nature damage dot that ticks every 2 seconds for 12 seconds. It will also apply a debuff onto the player that will make him take 100% increased damage from Megazap for the next 12 seconds. This is Takeoff. The boss will do fire damage to all players within 8 yards and launch himself into the air. He is still hittable during this time, but will be firing a beam down from the center of his hitbox. During this time in the air, the boss will target a player and begin to chase them, all the while doing AoE damage to the entire group. If you happen to stand in the middle of the boss during this time, you will take a large hit of damage and probably die. Welcome to Phase 2 of the boss. There are only 2 changes to this phase, 1 to Megazap and 2 includes a new mechanic. This is Megazap Mark II. Megazap will now hit anything in these guidelines on the ground and will hit 3 different players. If you get hit more than once, you are dead. So make sure to semi-spread out during this time. The last ability to note is Magneto Arm. This launches a magnet that pulls all players towards it, dealing AoE damage to the entire group. The further you are from the magnet, the less damage you take. Congratulations, you've defeated King Mechagon and successfully timed the Operation Mechagon shop. I hope this video was helpful to you guys, and I hope to be able to make some more of these in the future. If you have any tips, tricks, suggestions, or comments, please let me know.